Hola, hola, hola. Hello, 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 my beautiful planner babe divas. Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl here, Daniela, la planning diva. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me here today, supporting my channel. I really appreciate you. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're planning some wonderful, beautiful plans. It is currently June 15th, Sunday afternoon. It's been a long day. I have been working out all day. Pretty much, I went to the gym. I went on a 6-mile hike. I went on a mile run. I finally had some late lunch with my mom and showered. And now I'm getting finally into my crafty corner studio. And I'm very excited. I am a little bit nervous though, because in today's video, we're gonna be planning the June Interfaith calendar in my faith planner. I haven't shown this to you all yet, so this is gonna be very new. I haven't really started working in this too much, but this is my new faith planner setup. I'm still figuring things out. This is still very fresh, very new, very experimental. But I'm hoping that this is going to be what really gets me to dive back into faith and spirituality. I've always had a faith and spirituality planner / journal. Like many of my planners, I flirt with it. It's off and on. Sometimes I'm in it, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes long stretches go by where I'm not in it. I haven't been in my faith / spirituality journal in a while. Probably a few months, but I have been really feeling the calling to get back into it, and I really want to tie it with my grimoire. Like I really want my grimoire and my faith planner to kind of go hand in hand. So I put this big happy planner together a few weeks ago, and I really feel inspired by the setup, and I'm ready to recommit, get back into faith planning, spirituality planning. It's still very new to me. I'm still figuring out exactly how I want to use this. And honestly, I have been procrastinating really getting into it because I really wanted to film or set up the June monthly planner. Or I mean the calendar. I really wanted to set up the June monthly calendar, and I just kept putting it off because I used to do these quite a bit. You could probably find them on my Interfaith playlist here on my channel. Setting up the monthlies, definitely one of the most rewarding videos I've ever filmed, but also one of the most time-intensive videos because I learn a lot setting them up. I wanted to set up my June Interfaith calendar before I really started getting into the weekly planner pages, because the monthly calendar really informs how and what I do on my weekly planner spreads. So I kept on putting it off. I've been so busy. I got sick. I got on my period. Things have been crazy. So I just haven't had time to set up my June monthly Interfaith calendar until today, which is June the 15th. Halfway through the month already, but that's totally fine. It doesn't matter that it's halfway through the month. What matters is that I've found the time to dedicate to exploring faith and spirituality in the month of June at this time. So, a brief note on how I approach faith and spirituality here on my channel, because this is definitely not the normal approach to faith and spirituality, quote unquote normal, whatever that is. So I basically identify as interfaith. What that means for me is that I engage with a variety and a diversity of religious and spiritual experiences. I don't feel particularly tied to any specific form of religion or spirituality. I honestly feel like religions and spirituality in general are all kind of talking about the same thing, but in different languages. I find a lot of value learning and appreciating and observing and celebrating different spiritual practices across major religions and smaller religions, more local religions. Because I grew up Catholic, I definitely feel a lot of resonance with Christianity and Catholicism and that religious system in particular. And because I live in the United States, in California, Southern California, I am surrounded a lot by Christianity / Catholicism. And because it's so familiar to me, I definitely gravitate towards Christianity. It's just so readily available. There's so many churches here that are Christian. The community is very strong. And there's something to be said about it being like a familiar place for me. I do go to Christian church, but I also observe and think about other religious practices like Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Shinto. I find studying those different religious systems offer their own unique forms of value. And on top of that, I'm also very spiritual. And so I observe a lot of the astrological phenomena and cycles that happen, like the movements of the planets, the sun, the moon, the stars. So there's a lot of astrological influence in my faith planning as well. So that's where my kind of grimoire comes in. I'm very inspired by like the Wiccan practices, the shamanistic practices of indigenous cultures, civilizations. So funny story, I recently read a book that had a lot of like Buddhist philosophy / teachings in it. And there was a character in that book that talked about how they always felt drawn to various religions and felt like very interfaith, kind of like I've talked about. And there's a scene in the book where they are talking to a Buddhist priest about feeling like that, feeling very interfaith. And the Buddhist priest tells them, "Oh, it sounds like you're Buddhist then." And so I'm kind of wondering if I am more Buddhist than I originally thought. I'm not particularly concerned about putting a label to what I am. I just have always felt like I'm neither here nor there when it comes to my spirituality, my faith, but I've always felt very strongly and felt very in tune with God. Oof, oh my goodness. That's a 10-minute intro. I cannot believe that. I knew this was going to be a long one, so I'm going to try my hardest not to make it extremely long, but let's turn the camera around and get to planning. Okay, divas, we are here with my big happy planner. I'm very inspired by this planner. So this planner, let's do a quick tour before we jump into the plan with me. This planner is a hybrid. It is a complete Franken planner. Oh my goodness. It's made up of so many parts, different planners, different pages. I put so many different things into this thing. I am shocked that it turned out as well as it did. But brief tour about this planner. So this is a big happy planner. And the cover itself is from a big hourly planner. And I forget exactly what the name of the planner was, but it was a big hourly planner. However, there was also a classic sized planner that was in the same line, and it was a faith planner. But for some reason, the big planner that they did was not a faith planner. It was just an hourly planner. I got this at Hobby Lobby a while ago, and the discs are classic sized plastic discs, and I went with a beautiful, gorgeous pastel rainbow that kind of matched the colors in this gorgeous cloud scene here. And I was really drawn to this cover for my faith and spirituality planner because it reminds me of the heavens, right? And it's also a beautiful natural phenomena. It looks like there's the moon, these beautiful clouds, the sunlight kind of gives it like a sunset vibe. And nature and the natural world has always been a big part of my spirituality. So that's kind of like why I was drawn to this. So flipping it open, here is the cover page. I have yet to write my name page. We have the yearly calendar, which is all great. And then I put in a little folder there. And then the actual planner pages themselves are a combination of all kinds of planners. And these are all outdated planners for the most part. So they're from, 2024, 2023, and beyond. And they're a mix of planners. So I have a lot of the Stargazer planner pages in here, the dividers. And I can't believe that I didn't think about using the Stargazer planner as my faith planner because, again, astrology is such a massive part of my spirituality. I'm surprised I didn't think about it sooner, but I also put in dividers from this planner. So this one here, I forget exactly what the name of it is, but this this divider is from that planner. We have Stargazer. We have another divider from that same planner, and let's actually kind of go in order. So I have Stargazer for June, Stargazer for July, Stargazer for August. Then we have that, we'll just call it the Cloud Landscape Planner. So we have this divider from there. Then we have Stargazer again, the Cloud Landscape Planner for November, Stargazer again for December, Stargazer for January, February, March. This is the Cloud Landscape Planner. And then I actually ended up running out of dividers, so I just grabbed this one. This is from the Blush in It Planner from a while ago. This is from that Cloud Landscape Planner. And then we have more Stargazer. Again, the Cloud Landscape Planner, Cloud Landscape, Cloud Landscape, Cloud Landscape, Cloud Landscape. So gorgeous. And I think near the end here I might even have just put in the dividers and not the pages themselves. And then lastly we have Stargazer, and then one last Cloud Landscape divider. So we have all the way until May of next year. Let's flip back. So that's what I have set up here for my faith planner. And so this is the June monthly. Like I said, all of these planner pages are outdated. They're from older planners, so I had to redate everything. I put stickers over the boxes here to have a correct calendar, and then I also redated with stickers all of the weeklies. And that first week in June, I didn't do anything in here. Second week of June, I actually just set this up earlier today. I wanted to play around with how I wanted to set up the pages, so I set this up just for fun. And then this is the current week. Same story, I just set this up just for fun, just to kind of get a sense of what I wanted to do in here. And then this is the last week in June before we enter July here. So that's kind of what I have going on. But I really need to set up the June monthly calendar. And so that's what we're going to do in this video, because I feel like setting this up is what helps like determine what's going on during the week. So let's set this up. I already have a sticky note of all of the things that I like keeping track of in my faith planner. And actually, let me go grab my faith planner from a couple of years ago and give you a little flip through of what my monthlies look like. Okay, I'm so glad that did not take forever to find. So this was my interfaith calendar, or my interfaith planner for a while back. It's such a beautiful planner. And I think this might have been my first interfaith calendar that I ever set up. So that was April 2022. And then it's gorgeous. And then we have the May calendar, the June calendar. I did not set it up for July, but I did set it up for August, September, October. Ooh, I forgot I had this. I might grab this and steal it for this planner. November, I didn't set it up. December, I set it up. January, I didn't. And then I don't think I'd set it up from there. But this just gives you an example of like how I like setting up my calendars. My interfaith calendars are essentially a mix of a bunch of different things. So I have my notes, my little note here about what I like to include in my interfaith calendars. So I keep track of the moon cycle. I keep track of the Aztec calendar. I keep track of planetary movements and other astrological events. And I also keep track of the interfaith calendar. So that is any notable religious/spiritual events that happen across various different religions, from Christianity to Catholicism to Islam to Judaism, Buddhism, Baha'i. And yeah, I keep track of all of them here in the interfaith calendar. And I have my iPad here with me as well, because I definitely need like the internet to kind of refer to these different things. But before we get into that, let us start by just like setting up some deco on this page. I always start off with a little bit of washi tape, and I'm feeling like using these two. I always use like pinks and purples and pastels and kind of that like pastel thundercloud type of color palette. Like this washi tape is like so signature of like the color palette I like to use in my faith planner. I just love this color palette so much. There's something about it. It's just so soft. I'm sure you noticed in my previous spreads that I just showed you in my old faith planner, you could definitely see the theme of like light pinks, light purples. It's giving very like ethereal. Anyways, I'm just gonna go ahead and set up the washi tape on this, and then I'll be right back when it's all set up. Okay, we're back. I set up some washi tape. You know me, I like putting washi tape like all over the boundaries of the page. I feel like it really provides such a good like structure to work in. I used mild liner to highlight the days of the calendar. And let me grab actually my apothecary sticker book, and also I need to go find my cosmic watercolor sticker book, so I'll be right back. Okay, cosmic watercolor and my Sticker Studio apothecary sticker book. That's all I need. So let's do some quick deco on the sidebar. I always like grabbing some full boxes and just putting some deco on the sidebar. I like having the spread somewhat filled up before I start writing. It makes it feel like a lot more accessible, easy to fill up, I guess. Ooh, let's go with this beautiful lady over here. She is gorgeous. So let's put her right there. Beautiful. I really like these blue crystals, so I might try to figure a way to incorporate these later. And then I also have my Mega Stargazer sticker book. This is actually relatively recent to my collection. Do you remember when they brought these out, these massive sticker books? I also got like the Chrissy Mask design one, and then the Disney one. I feel like I could put something right here in this little section right here. Maybe this little dream bigger quote from the Cosmic Watercolor. Okay, so now that we have all of this set up, we also have some space down here that we could decorate. So let me grab the apothecary sticker book and add some deco down here, and then we'll be ready to get to the serious stuff. I love this apothecary sticker book, but the stickers have this massive overlay on all the stickers. So I always feel like I have to cut the sticker overlay off because it's so unwieldy, clunky, it gets in the way. So there's that. Look how beautiful. Some blue crystals. How beautiful. Look at this blue crystal collection that I have down here. Isn't that so cute? Okay, enough playing around. It's time to get down to the serious stuff. So let's start off with pulling out my little note sheet here. And then I already did some work before I started this video because I definitely needed to prep, because it's been so long since I've done a video like this that I really needed to prep. So let's start off with the first thing that I keep track of here, and that is the moon cycle. So I actually have my bookmarks already set up. So let's set up, let's grab my moon calendar. So I use this website called mooncalendar.astro-seek.com. And what I like about this website is that for any given month, it tells you what the moon phase is, and then it also tells you in what sign the moon is, and then also, of course, full moons and new moons. So we just experienced a full moon on June 11th, and then we're going to experience a new moon on June 25th. And the moon moves so quickly through the sky that it moves through the different signs pretty quickly. So right now, June the 15th, it is currently in Aquarius. It's in Aquarius for 3 days, and then it moves into Pisces for 2 days, and then into Aries for 2 days. So what I like doing with my Interfaith calendar is I like putting a little astrological sign in the very corner of the day to mark where the moon is at any given time. So June the 1st Sunday was in Leo. So I'll go ahead and do a little Leo sign here. And then it was in Virgo. So my little signs are not that nice, honestly. Maybe at some point I'll make tiny little stickers to stand for the signs. But so far, I am just kind of scribbling out a sign. So 3 days in Scorpio, and then we have Sagittarius. Some signs are better than others. Like Sagittarius is very easy to draw out. Capricorn is a little bit tougher. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back when I'm done. There we go. So I have the little astrological sign in the corner that represents how the moon is moving through every sign. And then I like adding box stickers for the new moon and the full moon. So let me look through the cosmic watercolor. Let's see if there's anything I want to add. I could use these. The full moon, the new moon, they're important enough astrological events that I would love to use like one of these large stickers. So we have the full moon on the 11th, followed by the new moon on the 25th. So I'll go ahead, put those stickers down, and then I will write down like full moon. So we're going to have a new moon in Cancer, and the full moon that just happened was in Sagittarius. So I'm going to leave it like this for now. I might add some more details here later, but I also don't know what else is going on those days. So if something else is going on, I will use this space to write that down. If not, I will come back and maybe write a few more details about the full moon and the new moon. So we'll leave it like that. So that is the moon cycle. So we have that checked off. And then let's actually just stick with astrology for now, and then we can move on to other things later. So my astrology calendar, I like using cafeastrology.com. It's very comprehensive. If you scroll down to June, it has all of the planetary movements here, and I like writing all of these down. So let's see, June the 1st, we have Jupiter semi-sextile Uranus. So let me go ahead and write that down. So I'll go ahead and write down everything, and then I'll come back when I'm done. Okay, we are done here. So let us flip this open a little bit. It's a little bit easier for me to write when it's folded over like that, but I want to show you everything. So I wrote down all of these events here. There were actually not that many. I definitely have seen a lot more astrological events happening in a given month, but I wrote down everything that's happening. So June 1st, we have Jupiter semi-sextile Uranus. June 2nd, first quarter. June 3rd, Venus enters Taurus. June 8th, Mercury enters Cancer. June 9th, Pallas retrograde and Jupiter entering Cancer. The 11th was a full moon. The 14th, Vesta went direct. The 15th, today, Jupiter squares Saturn. The 17th, Mars enters Virgo. The 18th, we have a third quarter moon and Jupiter squares Neptune. 20th, we have the beginning of Cancer season as the sun enters Cancer. On the 24th, we have Jupiter quincunx Pluto. I have no idea how to pronounce that. I have never seen that. The 25th, we have a new moon, and on the 26th, Mercury enters Leo. So why I said that I need, or I like to have the monthly calendar set up before I do my weeklies is because the monthly calendar acts as kind of like a jumping off point for me, because during the weeklies is when I dive into what each of these things means. And a lot of the times I don't know what these things mean. Like I have no idea what Jupiter quincunx Pluto means. I don't know what Jupiter square Saturn means. I don't know what Pallas retrograde means astrologically. And so during the week, when those days actually happen, that's when I do a little bit of a deep dive into what that means. And I try to figure out how that energy has been impacting my day-to-day activities. Some of these I do kind of have an idea of what they mean, like Venus entering Taurus, Mercury entering Leo, because like I said, I've been doing these interfaith calendars for a while now. And so I definitely have seen some of these things come and go. And I have somewhat of an idea of what they mean and how I personally respond to these events, but it's been a while since I've set one of these up. I've kind of let this practice go. So what I'm hoping is just to revive this practice. And a lot of the times I like using boxes for each of these, but I kind of want to just be a little bit simpler this time around. I like using sticker boxes to write down these things, but I'm trying to maybe just be a little bit more simple this time around. It's my first time around. I just kind of want to dive into it, put pen to paper, and worry about the cuteness of it later. So that is the astrological calendar. So let us move on to the Aztec calendar. So the Aztec calendar, like I said, I'm very interfaith. I draw my spirituality from various places. And being a Latina with indigenous Native American ancestry and generational background, like most Mexicans, I am definitely a mixed person. I am a person of mixed ancestry. So most Mexicans are about 50% Spaniard or of European origin, and then 50% Native American. And when I say Native American, I am definitely talking about, at least where I am concerned, I'm talking about the Native Americans of the region now called Mexico. Not like the Native American tribes that we're more familiar with here in the United States, like the Navajo, the Hopi, the Kumeyaay. I am not super in touch with my Native American background because as a result of colonization and conquest, a lot of Mexicans just aren't that connected anymore to the tribal background that they came from. However, I've always felt like I want to explore that heritage more. And so part of how I do that is I keep track of the Aztec and the Mayan calendar cycles, and specifically about the spiritual significance of the different periods of the Mesoamerican spiritual calendar. So the Aztec calendar, as I'm sure most of you all have seen, is this massive stone structure. Really, really beautiful. But essentially it helped people to determine and keep track of both calendar time and spiritual time periods. And in the Aztec and Mayan calendar, the Mesoamerican calendar, they divided time into these 13-day periods called trecenas, and each trecena was ruled by a particular god and also had a particular significance. And then also every day is ruled by a god and is also spiritually significant in its own way. So there's an actual website called the azteccalendar.com that keeps track of all of these spiritual period. So today, June 15th, we're actually on day 13 of a 13-day period, or trecena. So we're on the last day of this trecena. The day is day rain. So each day has its own spiritual significance. It has its own sign that is associated with the day. So today's sign is rain. It's ruled by its own god, and also it occurs within a 13-day period that's also ruled by its own god and has its own sign as well. So we're on day 13 with the sign of rain, and we're in a 13-day period that belongs to the sign of deer. I hope that makes sense. And then we have some information about the significance of both the day and the 13-day period. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to write out the day of the Aztec calendar for each of these days, and also have a box sticker for when the different 13-day periods start. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is going to take me a second, so I will come back when I'm done. Okay, there we go. That took forever. There was a time in my life where I knew the exact order of all of the signs, and I could do this by memory, but I really had to rely on the Aztec calendar website. So I changed my mind. I just ended up using pen just so that things could be easier. So this is what I did. I started off with the day of the Aztec calendar and then the sign associated with it. I wrote it in the Aztec language. I did not write it in English. So for example, June 1st. June 1st is day 12 in the 13-day period, or the trecena of the jaguar. So instead of saying day 12 snake, I said day 12 coatl, which is the Mesoamerican word for snake. And so I've been using the Aztec words for the days as much as I can. Again, it makes me feel connected to that piece of heritage that I have. So I have the number of the day and the sign associated with it. And then whenever it reaches day 1, because remember, in a trecena, there are 13 days. So after day 13, it resets and we're back at day 1. And whatever sign of the day that the trecena resets, that is the new trecena sign. So for example, day 13 was day of death. The next day is back to day 1, and the sign shifted to the sign of deer. So that means this new trecena is the trecena of the deer. It's 13 days of deer energy, even if every particular day has its own sign. So we have day 1, deer, in the trecena of deer. And then we have day 2, rabbit, in the trecena of deer. Then we have day 3, water, in the trecena of deer, and so on. We're in deer, and we are currently in deer. It is the 15th. It's actually day rain in the trecena of deer, day 13. And tomorrow we're shifting into the trecena of flower. So it's day 1 flower, trecena of flower, and so on. I hope that makes sense. And usually what I'll do is on those days that the trecena shifts, I will doodle the little sign of the trecena in the day. But I'm going to hold off on that for now because I do want to get the Interfaith calendar on here as well. So let's go to my Interfaith calendar, and I use diversityresources.com for this, and it gives you a list of all of the religious holidays in June. So we only have a few here. We have a Jewish holiday, Shavuot, which celebrates the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. June 5th through the 9th, we have an Islamic holiday, the Hajj, which is an annual Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca, mandatory for all Muslims. June 7th through the 10th, we have the Islamic holiday, Eid al-Adha, which commemorates the willingness of Abraham to sacrifice his son. And on June the 8th, we have the Christian Pentecost, which commemorates the descent of the Holy Spirit upon the apostles. And on June 19th, we have a Catholic holiday, the Feast of Corpus Christi, which celebrates the Eucharist, the body and blood of Jesus Christ. So I will go ahead and actually write these down, and I will use box stickers. Oh my goodness, divas, we are back. I cannot believe what just happened. Okay, so for you, we just jumped a little bit. So the last thing that I think I was telling you was that I was going to put down all of these stickers for the major holidays. And I did do that. I don't know if I got interrupted or not because while I was saying that, my roommate came in and he drives like a motorized scooter thing. So he always comes in through the garage and I film in the garage. This is where my Crafty Corner studio is. And I think he might have cut me off, but it's okay. I ended up just putting down the stickers for the major holidays. I do like using the bigger boxes for this, but sometimes when there's not enough room in a day, I'll just use the smaller quarter boxes. So that's what I did here. And actually, I wasn't even able to film after my roommate came in because he needed to work on his scooter. There was something wrong with it. So he was here in the garage, just like fixing it with his tools and everything. And I just couldn't film anymore. And so it's actually the next day. It's Monday morning. And I have to go head off to work soon. But I wanted to finish this up. And so I came down here and I started to film again. And set things up, and I started decorating it because after I set up the holiday stickers, the next thing I do is I just decorate the rest of the spread because I don't need any more space to write or anything like that. And so that's what I was starting to do. And so I added a couple of stickers, a couple of butterflies, stickers from my Stargazer Mega Sticker Book, Cosmic Watercolor, and of course my Apothecary Sticker Studio Gallery. However, I didn't realize I was not filming. I don't know how that happened. I thought I hit film. I guess I didn't. So this is what I did meanwhile. But it's not that big of a deal. I had only been filming for like 5 minutes or so. And I just threw down some stickers, explained the situation, and now we're back. What a mess. I mean, to be expected. It's been such a long time since I filmed one of these Interfaith calendars. I was half expecting for it to be a little bit of a mess. It is what it is. But actually, I think it turned out pretty cute given how much trouble I had to film this. And right now I'm just looking for, just a couple more stickers to layer on the stickers I already have and to just add a little bit more to this spread. Maybe I can add some of these like star stickers, just like that. That's kind of cute, right? And maybe the last thing I'll do is add some of these like gold foil star and moon stickers. I really like these stickers actually. I'll add some over here. That's really cute. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. Okay, maybe one last little Cancer sticker. This girl with her little Cancer right there. Cancer. Okay, I think I'm happy with this. I do really like how it turned out. Oh, one last thing. So sorry. One last thing. I am going to highlight with my Erin Condren Hello Kitty glitter highlighters, which, by the way, I am obsessed with these. I think I might get more the next time I go to the Erin Condren store. These are their dual tip glitter highlighter chisel markers on one side and then dot markers on the other side. And I really, really like these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the purple, let's see, the purple to highlight all of the astrological events and then the blue to highlight the Aztec calendar. So let me go ahead and do that. And then maybe I'll do the moon in a different color. And I don't know if I ever mentioned this, but the Aztec calendar, if you notice these little symbols next to them, next to the days, those are just numbers and they stand for the number of the day. So like I was mentioning, the trecena that the Aztec calendar is split into is made out of 13 days. That's why it's called a trecena. So each day has a number and a sign associated with it. Today is actually the first day of the trecena of flower. And so the dot next to it stands for the number 1. This is the numbering system that they used in the Mesoamerican culture. 1 dot stands for 1 digit. So 1 dot is 1, 2 dots is 2, 3 dots is 3. And then when you get to 5, they exchange the dots for 1 bar. So 1 bar is 5, and then a bar and a dot is 6, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now I've highlighted that. And then the last thing I will do then is I will use maybe this dark teal mild liner to highlight all of the new moon stuff. I mean the moon stuff. So just the first quarter, full moon, third quarter, and the new moon. And that is it. I love it. It turned out so nicely. This is the first time I have used a big happy planner for my interfaith calendar, and I've always felt like I wanted more space in my interfaith calendar, and so this definitely allowed me to stretch out. There's room for so much here, and even then I still feel like I can fill it up pretty well. All right, everyone, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. Let me know if there's anything you celebrate that is not on this calendar, and I can look it up and check it out and add it to my calendar. And yeah, I'm excited. So this is the current weekly spread for today, and I can't wait to set this up and start working in here now that I have my calendar all set up. Beautiful. I love my little bookmark too. I totally forgot I had this little bookmark. All right, everyone. I hope to see you in my next video. So until then, stay safe. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, happy planning. Adios.